All right, here we go. Everyone, welcome back to episode 3 of J&A Sideline Report. We've gotten a lot of good feedback from you guys recently. Appreciate the support. We got some pretty nice, pretty interesting topics today, so make sure you guys follow along. And once again, if you guys can't catch us live, as of right now, I'm using my personal gaming channel as our main YouTube. As we grow more followers and as the channel gets a little bit bigger, I'll probably end up making a separate channel specifically for the podcast. But right now, you can follow us on YouTube at Humble Gaming Nation. And if you guys want to have any comments for the show, any likes, dislikes, any improvements, criticism, feel free to drop a comment on the VOD. I will be uploading this to YouTube after we do this within a day or two. And if you guys want to message me on Twitter, if you guys are on Twitter, you can just message me at HumbleGamingN. Let me know what you guys think about the topics, what you guys want to hear about, what you guys want us to talk about, and what do you guys think overall. Once again, appreciate the support, and without further ado, let's get into it. So, Albert, let's see. Our first topic is we got a lot of a lot of big cuts to make the 53-man roster. As of today and yesterday, we had some finalizing cuts. We got some very notable cuts, I'd say, starting from your Falcons room. Got some pretty big names there. And they also announced, we'll get into this a little bit later, but they kind of announced what their plan is for a QB1. But we got some big names here. My Cowboys Legion just dropped Lyle Collins, who was a big name lineman for us for the past couple years. The Commanders just released Michael Gallup, who was an up-and-coming Cowboy star, it seemed like. Looked like he got a second chance over there with Dan Quinn and the Commanders, but unfortunately it doesn't look like he's going to make the final roster. And then we got some, I'd say, more popular names like Shiloh Sanders with the Bucks getting cut after he had a pretty rough preseason. He had a couple of flashes, good flashes. Did end up getting into a fight, got suspended on that last preseason game. Didn't have the greatest game, and then ended up getting cut. So, what are your thoughts on these final 53-man rosters? What stood out to you on these cuts so far?
Yeah, I mean, especially starting off for the Falcons and our kind of defensive line room. I know we get a lot in the draft and also getting Leonard Floyd to come into the room, but I thought Dan Morgan was going to be a nice kind of solid veteran starter. But him getting cut tells me one of two things. It means that Brandon Dorlus and Ruka draft picks last year, they're really happy with them.
What
So
position is
as a
this?
Falcons fan, so this is defensive tackles, this is
Okay,
defensive line, yeah. So
gotcha.
they kind of play all over. They play D and they play D tackle. Also Zach Harrison, he's kind of a bigger guy. And then obviously with the Jalen Walker, the James Pierce Jr., bringing in Leonard Floyd, still having Ebiketie, still have Braylon Trice. I think the Falcons D line room was already pretty stacked. So not having Morgan Fox there, that kind of tells me that they're happy about them. Another one, Brendan Hooker, he was kind of out of Tennessee for the Detroit Lions. He's a quarterback. So he was a guy who I think would have been a lot better had he not got injured his last year in college. He's been a backup out there in Detroit for a couple of years. So seeing him leave, I think he'll get picked up. He's a good young talent, still a good quarterback. I'm not sure how that injury has if he's been able to get over that or not. Hopefully he has. I think he'll get on another team. Mike Hilton, he's been a solid nickel cornerback. He's on the Dolphins or was on the Dolphins in this preseason. Formerly was the Pittsburgh Steelers, long-time nickel corner. He got cut. That was kind of a big one. Two out of the New Orleans Aints, otherwise known as New Orleans Saints. As a Falcons fan, that's who they are to us. But Cam Akers and Donovan Peoples-Jones both got released today. So big names. And then, like you said, the Shiloh Sanders incident and then Michael Gallup, Shiloh Sanders from the Bucks and Michael Gallup from the Commanders, formerly of the Cowboys. That just kind of shows, I guess, Gallup just kind of never developed into that player that he kind of showed flashes of with Dallas that one season. So yeah, other than that, I think the 53-man rosters are looking pretty good. And for me, no super crazy cuts. I think in Cleveland, even also, we talked about this last week, right? Like maybe somebody's traded or possibly cut, but they kept kind of their core four quarterbacks. They did cut Tyler Huntley, which is interesting that he's kind of bounced around last year with Miami. Now, obviously, with Cleveland this year in the preseason, formerly of the Baltimore Ravens. He even made a Pro Bowl. Remember that one year? So he's kind of a pro ball quarterback out there with no team right now. So I think he's going to get picked up too. But yeah, so that's kind of what I looked at for the 53 man. Doesn't seem like anything super crazy, right?
Hmm.
Nothing shocking as far as I think.
I think one of the interesting cuts to me, and probably one of the more controversial cuts, would be Snoop's, aka Tyler Huntley for the Browns. One of the big controversies that's going around right now on social media is how Kevin Stefanski, the head coach of the Browns, didn't allow Shedeur Sanders to finish off that 2 minute drive, which as a young quarterback, you'd kind of want to see how he can handle the pressure of a 2 minute drive and leading down. And that's a staple of any good quarterback is how they handle the 2 minute drive to win the game. And the head coach decided to sub him out, even though essentially he was on course to finish the game. He decided to sub him out and put in Huntley, which is really strange considering that they just cut Tyler Huntley. So they had, in my mind, they had no plans to keep him as a quarterback, yet they wanted him to finish out that game. Instead of giving Shedeur Sanders an actual opportunity for him to lead his own 2 minute drive for the win. A lot of people are saying that the Browns seem to be kind of continuing on what the NFL did as far as blackballing. They're kind of trying to send a message to Shedeur, and they're really not. People are saying that he's not being set up for success and he's being set up for failure. What are your thoughts on that move to put Tyler Huntley in at the end of that game instead of keeping Shedeur in, even though he did have a rough start in that preseason game, not giving him an opportunity to show what he could do in that 2 minute drive?
Yeah, I agree. I think we talked about it a lot outside of the pod and a little bit on the first couple episodes with Shador. I think you can see the obvious talent there. I think not giving him that 2 minute does a disservice not only to him but just to the franchise in general. It does kind of seem like the NFL is trying as hard as they can to do whatever they can to have bad pub out about him and his family in general.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think even prior to that 2 minute, they had a bunch of stuff with, I guess, him just not looking like he wasn't getting along with the coach, or the center had to kind of grab him and rein him in. They said that he was looking disinterested.
Mm-hmm.
But it doesn't show the context of him prior to that. It's just a young kid being frustrated. It's passion when it's Tom Brady. If it's Cam Newton or Shador Sanders, then it's like they're bad sportsmanship.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I don't like about that. But for me, yeah, obviously, especially because the first game that Shador had, he looked amazing, and then he was injured a little bit too. So there's a lot of context that people just want to throw out the window.
Yeah.
He also hasn't really been practicing still with the ones,
No.
because I think some people had said stuff between him and Dylan Gabriel. Dylan Gabriel's getting action and live and practices with ones where Shador is not.
Mm-hmm.
So they're doing everything in their power to make him look as bad as possible. But I mean, for me, for Shador, it does suck because you just want him to be him. But he is going to have to, kind of eat some stuff on the chin and just kind of be the bigger person right now for year one and just kind of do everything he can to be the best teammate possible. Not give them anything that they can publicize, right? And
Mm-hmm.
then eventually, like we talked about again, like last week, you already got a Myles Garrett in your freaking corner. You're going to be successful, right? He's like literally, if you're not the best player in the NFL, like he's definitely the best player in that organization,
Yeah.
and he's already got Shador's back. So I mean, he's going to be fine. It sucks, but hey, this is the Cleveland Browns. They're a bad organization for a reason, and I just hope it doesn't affect him in his career. I hope if this is how they feel, they try to get rid of him sooner rather than later.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I mean, even speaking of Myles Garrett being in his corner, David Njoku, the tight end for the Cleveland Browns, has also been a big proponent as far as being in his corner, representing him, walking out with him, and he's even made some friends of some of the other teammates. I mean, all of his teammates, if you hear, they have nothing but great things to say about Shador Sanders. So yeah, it does seem like he is kind of getting a bad rap and not getting the opportunity. And even speaking towards him not getting reps, 4 out of the 5 linemen, going back to roster cuts, 4 of the 5 linemen that were essentially supposed to be blocking for him, because everyone wants to talk about, well, he got sacked 5 times, he held onto the ball. Well, 4 of those 5 linemen that were blocking for him in that last preseason game, they all just got cut. So I mean, we're not even talking about like ready NFL players that are playing. He's literally playing with the guys that are either going to be on practice squads or the guys who this is essentially their only NFL experience going to be. It's going to end here. And to the point that like we haven't even seen, I can't even think of recent history where we've seen a 5th round draft pick garner this much attention. I mean, we've seen more eyes on him than we've seen on the number 1 overall pick in Cam Ward. I mean, even on the Cleveland Browns main website, if you go to their shop or if you go to their schedule, they got Shedeur Sanders as their background pitcher. So it's amazing to me. They're definitely kind of, I feel like they're using him for ratings. That's, the Browns are, like you said, they're not a very, they haven't proven to be a very good organization. They're hoping to turn these things around with some of these picks that they've made. On paper, they look like a pretty solid roster. I mean, so really hoping to see some change over there, especially for Shedeur. Speaking of Sanders, moving on to the Tampa Bay Sanders with Shiloh Sanders. A lot of people, a lot of controversy, and we've hearing a lot of bad publicity as far as like, oh, he shouldn't do that punch, and he showed his frustration, especially after he didn't have he had a rough preseason game, especially that final one. What people didn't see is I noticed on a couple of different angles of it, the ref was sitting right there and kind of allowed the Bills player to get away with kind of a lot of hands, and the Bills player even face masked him. He grabbed him by the face mask, yanked him, which then finally prompted Shiloh Sanders to respond with a punch because he felt like the ref wasn't going to defend him. The ref wasn't going to stop anything. And it's kind of one of those situations where the ref only kind of, flags the last man. And, I don't want to believe it or say it, but it kind of seems like, yeah, there's definitely a huge target on anybody with the last name Sanders. If obviously anyone associated with Dion, there's a target on their back to where it's almost like the league is trying to send a message or prove a point when they couldn't really do that against Dion, because despite however they may have felt about him with his cockiness at the time, and he was a once in a lifetime generational athlete to where like you just couldn't deny his talent. I remember going back as a Cowboys fan, I remember watching the clip of him returning a punt return for the Cowboys, and before he even gets the punt, he's back there dancing and showing off and just enjoying life. And then proceeds to return the punt return for a 70-yard touchdown. So it's like, yeah, you may not like the guy's demeanor, but like you can't deny his skill. And I feel like Shiloh Sanders, even though he got cut from that 53-man roster, I think for sure the Buccaneers did like what they see, and I think he did show a lot of good flashes throughout the preseason. And there's a lot of safety needing quarterbacks. Safety needing teams out there. Like the Saints, I believe, are in need of one. I'd say the Giants are. The Commanders also. So I definitely think he has some options. Even though he got cut, I think he showed enough to probably make someone's 53-man roster. We'll probably see some movement within the next couple of days after everyone kind of finalizes who they are for sure cutting and who they want to bring back in or whatnot. So, but what do you think about Shiloh, though?
I like Shiloh for a long time. He's kind of coming out of Colorado. He's more of a hitter than a cover guy, but he's shown that and lately he's been able to cover a little bit. I think his height a little bit also predicates him more to the strong safety as far as the roaming free safety type. But with the incident in general, the guy was going a little after the whistle for me with Shiloh. The only thing I would have been okay if he would have just put his hands on the guy, maybe even just put his hands on his face mask. I'm like, hey, man, chill.
Yeah.
But once you throw a punch, that's just not allowed. You know what I mean? You got to be able to control yourself.
That's
So,
true.
for me, I don't think he should have got suspended, but I don't think that should have cost him his roster spot. I don't know if he's necessarily going to get on the 53-man, but I could definitely see him being on somebody's practice squad and maybe making the full-man team at the end of the year because, again, I agree he definitely deserves it. He has the athletic abilities to do so. He's a tremendous hitter, and he's gotten way better with ball skills. So I think he'll make a roster. Everybody's blowing up this because it is Shiloh. If it was any other,
Yeah. No
undrafted or
name
six-round
player.
safety,
Yeah.
we would have never heard about it. You know what I
True.
mean? We
True.
would have never seen it. So
Yeah.
it is unfortunate. Unlike his brother Shedeur, Shiloh, I think he's going to be a journeyman for a little bit, but I do think he'll stick on the team.
Yeah.
He honestly reminds me a little bit, and again, it's going to be Atlanta Falcons bias, but he reminds me a little bit of a safety William Moore, who was a pro baller for
I
us for a
remember him.
couple of years.
Mm-hmm.
A very
Big
physical
hitter.
guy, would
Yeah.
he'd knock you out, and then eventually he became a ball hawk, and that's when he got into that realm of pro ball caliber.
Yeah.
So
Very
that's what I
true.
think about the Shedeur and Shiloh situation.
Yeah, no, like I said, I'm in agreement. I think he'll definitely end up on someone's roster before the season starts. Speaking of roster changes, kind of pivoting into some big contract extensions. We just recently saw Terry McLaurin, for those who don't know the nickname, the receiver for the Washington Commanders, just signed his 4-year, $98 million contract extension. So now Jaden Daniels has his number one locked in for the next 4 years, which is probably a big sigh of relief and a big lift off of his shoulders having his number one receiver there. I know they just added Deebo Samuels to the roster. They made actually a lot of different changes. They still got Luke McCaffrey, who they kind of like over there too. But yeah, I mean, Scary Terry get a contract extension. How do you feel about that? How do you think that positions the Commanders going into the season?
Um, well, like I said before, prior to the whole contract dispute with Scary Terry, I was saying that if they didn't get that locked in, I felt like that was going to be huge for Jaden Daniels year two and just the team in general, because outside of him not getting the recognition he deserves as a top, I would say 5 to 8 receiver in the league. He's
Yeah.
had multiple different quarterbacks, but he's still been able to produce. Doesn't matter who his quarterback's been. Deebo Samuel, there's always controversy around him. He can't really stay healthy.
Mm-hmm.
They got rid of Brian Robinson Jr., which I thought was kind of interesting. But I think you could just see the deep ball that Jaden has, the connection he had with McLaurin. Being a young quarterback, having your number one, it's very similar to C.J. Stroud and Nico Collins in Houston. So I
Yeah.
think that's huge for Jaden and his development. That's huge for the Commanders, and that puts them right up top. I think kind of just fighting with the Eagles for that division. Obviously, the Eagles are still the cream of the crop, but the Commanders are not that far behind now that they have their number one secured.
Yeah, and to your point of them releasing Brian Robinson Jr., I don't believe that kind of hurts them as much because they do have Austin Eckler, who's pretty much going to be there almost every down back, and they actually really like the rookie. He had a really great preseason, had a great training camp. So that rookie running back that they have, I believe his name is Nikori. They really are impressed with him, which helped them make the decision to let go of Brian Robinson Jr. And I think it actually kind of works out for Brian Robinson Jr. also because I mean he landed with the 49ers and immediately he's their RB2. I mean you're behind Christian McCaffrey, who I mean we've seen what the backups were able to do in a Kyle Shanahan offense just last year. I mean we had two guys kind of come out of nowhere with just because they're running in that Kyle Shanahan offense, that West Coast power run, that zone run offense, very very effective. And so with CMC kind of entering in, coming off of injury, they may limit his snaps maybe the first few weeks just to kind of make sure he's fully healthy. I think Brian Robinson Jr. is a great addition to that team. And I feel like he's probably going to produce there just as well as long as he also stays healthy. So I think it wasn't the worst move for him landing over there. But yeah, definitely kudos to Terry McLaurin getting his bag. Another guy that got his bag, only a 1 year extension, but I believe the Bengals kind of emptied the rest of the bank to finish paying him. That's Trey Hendrickson, their edge rusher, who's been the dominant top 5 pass rusher over the last 5 years. Trey Hendrickson just got a 1 year extension, essentially getting a $14 million raise because I believe he was at around $16 million coming into this year, and he wasn't happy with that, especially with T.J. Watt just getting paid, Bosa getting paid, Micah Parsons up for getting paid here soon. Him getting a $30 million 1 year, so he will still be an undrafted free agent next year. But I think that kind of works out for both teams because after the Bengals re-signed T. Higgins, they paid Jamar Chase, and also, giving Joe Burrow a huge contract. They only had about $30 million left for the season, as if I based off of the math that I checked for how much salary cap they have left. So they pretty much essentially gave it all to Trey Hendrickson, at least the rest of it. So it's going to be very interesting to see how they handle the rest of this year. Hopefully no injuries come about because then they'll have to kind of sign somebody for a minimum. But I'm kind of happy Trey Hendrickson. They finally got that deal done. They also got the deal done with Shamar Stewart a few weeks back. So what do you think about how their pass rush is going to look like with another, like I said, a top defender, top pass rusher in Trey Hendrickson. And like I said, they finally signed their rookie Shamar Stewart, who's looked like a beast ever since he's actually signed his contract.
Signing to Trey Hendrickson was huge. What is he like, third in the last 4 or 5 years behind only Garrett and Watt
Garrett
as far as
Watt,
sacks
yeah,
goes?
yep.
Yeah, so I mean, having that type of edge rush pressure with the way that the Bengals can score, bringing him back was key because that Bengals defense is very porous, and they're gonna have to score a bunch of points. I mean, everybody wants to talk about Joe Burrow. We all know that Jamar Chase is a Triple Crown winner. You bring back Higgins, you still have now you have Chase Brown back there running back. You have a good offensive line. Even Ilyasova is a really good third receiver out there. So for me, um, not just taking to the offensive side a little bit, Joe Burrow needs to have an MVP type season, and I don't want to hear that their defense isn't good. Their defense isn't good because you wanted that money and you wanted your guys to get paid. So go out there, show up, ball like Peyton Manning used to, and show me you're a top three quarterback because I don't believe he is, but that's just me. As far as the defense goes, Trey Hendrickson was absolutely. If they didn't get Trey Hendrickson, they're not making the playoffs. Period. End of story. I don't care what nobody says. If you don't have him on that team, they don't make it. Just like they didn't make it last year, and they scored a bunch of points and had a Triple Crown winner on their team. So he is extremely vital to that team. Hopefully, Shamar Stewart can show what he did in the preseason. Because honestly, in college, he didn't look like that guy. But sometimes it's just when they're at a different level, maybe they didn't use him properly. They know how to use him better in the pros. So hopefully he develops a little bit. I know their linebackers are a little weak as well, and obviously safety, since losing Jesse Bates now 3 years since then, they have decent safeties. But the middle outside of that front seven is kind of very weak. So for
Mm-hmm.
me, it's all going to be predicated on offense this year for Cincinnati. But Hendrickson was absolutely vital, and hopefully they can get him long term. I'm hoping that they don't try to give him one more, like, kind of like the Kirk Cousins deal, but it's different for a defensive end, right? Like now that you're
Mm-hmm.
looking at the Falcons with Kirk Cousins, we gave him that $180 million contract, and it looks like we're going to go with Penix, which is a smart move. But Cousins has already got paid how many different times? 3, 4 times. He's gotten paid more than Mahomes and all that stuff. Trey Hendrickson, he's an older guy. I'm hoping that they're not going to keep putting him on his 1 year deal so he can't get the deal that he deserves, and all of a sudden he's out of the league. Unfortunately, that's the business of the NFL, but I think a guy like him, if I was the Bengals, I would try as best as we can to get him signed up long term because that's only going to be better. You look at a guy like Shamar Stewart, right? That was probably one of the reasons why he didn't want to sign with that team because he's seeing how they're treating an all-pro guy like Hendrickson.
Mm-hmm.
Players look at that now, especially these young guys coming in. They're already NIL deal. They know how to deal with contracts and money. So I think NFL teams have to be a lot smarter with the way that they deal with their veterans, especially their really good veterans. So it's going to be interesting to see because Cincinnati, they're in a division. I think Pittsburgh is going to take a step up with Aaron Rodgers at quarterback. Obviously, Baltimore Ravens and Lamar are Super Bowl or bust. So Cincinnati's kind of that team. They could be like a sleeper team to kind of ruin everything if everything goes well. But Hendrickson, again, absolutely vital. One of the top 5 players on defense just in the NFL.
Yeah, I agree. Hendrickson is definitely important to that team. But for me, I don't think with the addition of Hendrickson and I don't think that team still has enough. To your point, yeah, like Joe Burrow did throw for, I think, if not the top, it was like top 2 passing yards last season, top in touchdowns. He had a Triple Crown winner in Jamar Chase. He had T. Higgins, who had an extremely great season. You actually still had Hendrickson, who still did his job on defense, but yet they still failed to make the playoffs, even with essentially, you got 2 or 3 players that are playing they played one of the best, if not the best season that they've had. So my thing is, there's not much room up to go from there as far as the offensive side. I definitely think them getting Shamar Stewart kind of helps out because essentially they need to be better on defense. I mean, their defense was averaging giving up 28 to 30 points a game. So, you make that comparison with Joe Burrow and Peyton Manning at quarterback. When Peyton Manning was with the Colts, yeah, Peyton Manning essentially had to score 35 plus points a game just to win the game, which he ended up doing. It's a tough role, and we got to see exactly what the difference was, even in Peyton Manning's latter years, when he actually was able to get a solid defense. A top-tier defense that year with the Broncos. He ended up winning a Super Bowl. In pretty easily fashion, if I don't mind. They blew the other team out in the Super Bowl. So I think the Bengals, even despite with them getting the addition of Shamar Stewart, they're re-signing Trey Hendrickson. Yeah, you got T. Higgins and Jamar Chase on the payroll for the next few years. Like you said, they're weak at linebacker. They've been needing safety help for a while. I'm not even a huge fan of their corners. I think they still do have Chidobe Awuzie, who was the cornerback for the Cowboys. We drafted him a couple years ago.
Awuzie is over in Baltimore now, bro. Baltimore has a nasty secondary.
Yeah, and I'm going to get to that. That's crazy. I don't even know how they still even need this many cornerbacks.
They have Awuzie, Wiggins,
Wiggins, Jair
they
Alexander.
got Alexander. They
Yeah.
got Humphrey. Like, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, I don't. Unless they're going to be running out of the dime all year, I don't know where they're going to fit all these corners. But yeah, going back to the Bengals, like I said, I just don't feel like they had enough even with re-signing Trey Hendrickson. I don't think they have enough to compete in the AFC right now. I mean, you're going to go against teams like we just mentioned, the Baltimore Ravens. It's like, okay, yeah, you have all these offensive weapons, but you're going against teams that have amazing defensive weapons. You look at the Steelers, a divisional rival. Yeah, they upgraded on offense. They got Aaron Rodgers, a veteran Super Bowl Hall of Fame quarterback, essentially. They got DK Metcalf out there, an excellent route runner, big guy. I don't know who's going to cover him for the Bengals. And then you made huge additions on the defensive side. I mean, you re-signed T.J. Watt. They also still have Hightower over there. They have great linebackers. And then you brought in Jalen Ramsey. You brought in Darius Slay for corner at the cornerback position. Like, I mean, these are top tier corners that we're talking about. And Ramsey still looks like that guy. I saw him with a couple of reps going against Metcalf in training camp, and he's still just locking up. So a healthy Ramsey is still probably one of the scariest things to go against. So I don't know, man. I think the Bengals, I mean, I feel like I said, offensively, I don't see how much more room they have to grow offensively. Like, yes, they've shown that they can score 30-plus points, but without any new major additions on defense, and Hendrickson had a great year last year. Like, he did his job as far as rushing the quarterback. He had a lot of sacks, TFLs, great pressures. It's not enough. He has no linebackers behind him. There's not really any good corners over there. No DBs, period. I still think if they don't at least bare minimum perform how they did last year, I think they're going to be looking at a struggle to make the playoffs again. Now, granted, some of those games could have went either way. I mean, it came down to a lot of their games came down to like last drives, and it could have went in the Bengals' way. There was a lot of games where we could have very well be talking about these guys are easy walk into the playoffs. But having that defense is kind of what matters. I mean, even if they do make the playoffs, you need defense in the playoffs. That's where the defense really counts. I mean, the saying defense wins championships isn't for nothing. So, as much as I do like Trey Hendrickson finally getting his contract paid, I know he's going to have to go through to some see who wants him next year as an undrafted free agent. But I'm glad he get his money fine, and they finally got that out of the way. But I'm curious. I'm going to be closely watching the Bengals this year just to see how they perform, because I'm still not a believer after they had the offensive year they had last year, how they're going to win games with that defense. They didn't really upgrade the defense, in my opinion. So I'm very curious about that.
The biggest thing for me offensively is you can also help your defense by controlling the clock, right? And Chase Brown allows them to do that now that they have a running back like that. And that's what I mean with Burrow. It's cool to score all them points, but when you know that your defense is struggling, do a 8-10 play drive. You know what I mean? Give your defense some help. Run the football. Yeah, we know that, right? The Cowboys, they're like notorious for doing that. The Seahawks were notorious to do that with beast mode. Yeah. So like you look at these teams, greatest show on turf is the perfect example. Another perfect example for Cincinnati, right? It's like it's been done before in the past, but if you look
at just even recently, the Eagles Super Bowl, the Eagles won the Super Bowl running the football.
Well, and that defense was just absolutely unstoppable. They just dominated the Chiefs.
Well, yeah.
But you know, like, and that's a young defense. But you're looking at it, right? The Bengals have put all their money in the offensive side of the ball, and that's fine because you're believing and you have some of the best talents at the position. T. Higgins also has been banged up a lot. He needs to stay healthy for that team. And then you're looking at, like I said, like a Chase Brown. He needs to be the bell cow, which I think he is now, and then that's going to help them just close out games. You know, Burrow needs to run a little bit more. He's 2 years off of that surgery. Run a little bit more. Get a couple first downs. Extend drives. The less your defense has to be on the field, the better they're going to be, and the more that you're up 2 scores and not, you're going to get pressures. Now you have Shamar Stewart with Hendrickson. You get a lot of picks. When the Falcons made that Pro Bowl one in 2016, we had top 20 defense, but we were top 5 in turnovers because we were scoring so many points. The teams had to catch up, and that gives you an opportunistic defense. So that's what I'm saying when it comes to Burrow. But I mean, Hendrickson is. They lose Hendrickson, then there's no way they make the playoffs. Hendrickson at least gives them an opportunity to still be spoilers. Do I think they're going to be? Because like we talked about, I think they're probably the 3rd best team in their own division. But that's a stacked division. And then I'm looking at it, like I said, they could make a wild card for sure. And like you said, if Pittsburgh doesn't get it going right away, you know, Aaron Rodgers is a little rusty. I hate their offensive coordinator. So you never know what Pittsburgh could be doing, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, and even when it comes to Burrow, I mean, like I said, just kind of finishing off with the Bengals, I mean, their O-line isn't the greatest either. I mean, even we saw the few reps that Joe Burrow did play in the preseason game, and this man's still running for his life against preseason defense. So, once again, I feel like some of that money should maybe went into upgrading some offensive linemen. I mean, Burrow was still probably one of the most sacked, if not the most sacked and pressured quarterback probably since Andrew Luck. So, yeah, like I said, I'm just going to be very curious to see how that team performs with giving all your money to skill position players and not upgrading the defense or that offensive line. So, but moving on to a couple more additions as far as unsigned players, we go back to the Browns team, and they haven't actually signed their rookie Quinshon Judkins. I think he remains the only rookie that's unsigned in the NFL, and I know one of the reasons they were kind of holding back is because he did have that pending, I want to say assault case. Don't quote me, but I want to say he had a pending assault case, but I think it was dismissed. And so it kind of leaves him up, which is another reason why they recently signed my boy from Texas, Isaiah Bond, at receiver, who, had he not had that pending criminal charge on his record, which was also dismissed, he could have been looking at going in at bare minimum day 2 or day 3 of the draft. So I think that was a huge pickup for them. But Quinshon Judkins, who was essentially Ohio State's running back last year, which was like the big name, even though he was the backup. Well, I guess they split carries, him and Trevion Henderson, the running back that's currently now for the Patriots, who's making a splash in the preseason. Great pickup for them. It's curious to see. Quinshon Judkins is still unsigned, and there's even rumors that he potentially could go back to college if he remains unsigned. I mean, that's a very little known loophole in NFL contracts that people don't know. As a rookie, if you don't end up signing your rookie contract before the season starts, you could technically go back to college and play another year there, as long as you have eligibility, of course. And then you can re-enter the draft the following year. And with that re-enter, the same team that drafted you can't redraft you. So in this case, if Quinshon Judkins did go back to school, let's say he goes back to Ohio State or somewhere else, if he enters the 2026 draft, he can't be drafted back again by the Browns. Another team would be able to get him, but the Browns would not be able to acquire him. So what do you think about him being unsigned? Does this surprise you? Is this big news for you? How do you feel about it?
I mean, I'm not sure. I wasn't a huge fan of Quinshon Judkins. He transferred from Kansas to Ohio State, and he wasn't even the best player on his team. Because I think Kansas still has another running back who might come out next year who might even be better than Quinshon as well. So that's 2 running backs in the last 2 years that he hasn't been as good. I think that team overall, losing Nick Chubb, I don't see him having a significant role or being very good anyways because their quarterback situation is so messy. I do think that whole loophole of them being able to go back to college and then possibly not being picked by their same team is a little wild to me.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't. That sounds kind of crazy, but I mean, outside of that, I'm looking at it where like for him, I think it might be a blessing in disguise. Like if he can leave and come back and not have to be picked up by the Browns, that might be the best NFL move for himself. You know.
That's true. That's true.
But yeah, because I mean, that team's going to be a disaster. We all know that team's going to be a disaster. So I just.
Well, I mean, I don't fully agree. I mean, last time Joe Flacco quarterback for that team, he actually brought them into the playoffs. So, I mean,
you got a coach on a hot seat, and you got 4 quarterbacks. Whenever you have more than one quarterback, you don't have one, and that's a problem.
That's true, but I don't quote me, but I want to say, didn't Kevin Stefanski win Coach of the Year one of the last 2 years?
Not last 2 years. He was really good, but prior to him coming to Cleveland.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, for me, that's
yeah, I'm sorry.
He
won it. He won it first in 2020, and he won it 2023. So 2 years ago, he won Coach of the Year.
Yeah, I mean, he's already on the hot seat, though. So it's like you're 2 years away from winning Coach of the Year and on the hot seat. And it's literally because you can't get a quarterback. I mean, they spent all that money on Deshaun Watson, and now you still have him on the roster, but you also have 4 other guys. So
now, how do you feel? Would you say that's Stefanski's fault that they can't get a quarterback? I mean, because if we look at the history of Browns quarterbacks, I mean, we could say they haven't had a franchise quarterback since Otto Graham, in my opinion. That was back in like the 50s, 60s.
I don't think that's his fault at all. Like we talked about before, last pod, I believe, when we talked about coach on the hot seat. He's a coach that if he gets fired, will have a job the next day. He's a great coach, but you know, when you're in an organization like Cleveland, they really don't know what they're doing. Mm-hmm. and it shows, right? And quarterback obviously has been a huge position where they just have not been able to hit.
Yeah, no, I agree. All right, pivoting, moving on to kind of wrapping up here, we got some college football predictions. We have a huge slate of games coming up this weekend. We had a nice little teaser for week 0 with Kansas State and Iowa State. We got to see Avery Johnson. Didn't get to see Dylan Edwards. He got injured literally on the first kickoff. I would say the kickoff or the punt. I think it was a punt. It was a muff punt, and he got injured off, and then he didn't come back the rest of the game. So really disappointing. Dylan Edwards, the running back for Kansas State, huge part of their offense. They didn't have him, so that was kind of troublesome. But Avery Johnson, their starter quarterback, got to see great flashes of him. They ended up coming back and winning that game against Iowa State. I think Kansas State's definitely going to be one of those teams you want to watch out for, especially when Dylan Edwards comes back healthy. But coming up this following week, this weekend, I should say, we have some big name games. Let's go ahead, give me your quick predictions. Let's just kind of rattle some of these off pretty quick. But starting with, let's say, the first game we have. Let's start with Miami versus Notre Dame. What's our prediction there?
I mean, like I said before, I think Miami, I'm looking at it with Carson Beck coming in, right? Guy who's been in national championship, he's played in a lot of SEC games. He's big game ready. We're at home. CJ Carr being a freshman starter over at Notre Dame. This is literally his first start ever, and he's coming to Miami. It's going to be a packed stadium, and I expect us with a revamped secondary, Ruben Bank coming back healthy, Maui being one of the best offensive linemen in football, and then a running back room that if people don't know about it, they're going to know real quick that Miami's they're not playing in that running back room. Young receivers, but also extremely talented. I expect JoJo Trader to have a breakout season this year. We got some true freshmen. Malachi Tony, one of them, is going to surprise a lot of people, and I expect us to win and win significantly by 2 scores.
Okay, we got Notre Dame at ranked 6, Miami ranked 10. Right now, the current spread for that is -2.5 for Notre Dame. And so, if any those who don't know how the spread works, essentially Vegas is saying that Notre Dame is likely to lose the game by at least 2.5 points. So essentially, they're predicting Miami maybe wins by at least a field goal in that game. Another big game we have coming up, and I'll kind of start us off with this one. We have South Carolina versus Virginia Tech. Now, Virginia Tech has always been kind of a secret team, not ranked a lot, but they've been pretty solid. The main attraction to this game, though, is Lenore Sellers, the quarterback for South Carolina. This guy has been touted and talked about quite a bit. He's a very extremely fast quarterback with a strong arm. Think kind of like your Jalen Milroe for Alabama last year, who recently just got drafted to the Seattle Seahawks. If you guys been watching the preseason, you guys got a huge dose of him, especially the last game. But that's kind of how Lenore Sellers reminds a lot of people of, like I said, really fast legs, strong arm quarterback, and pretty accurate. So definitely think South Carolina is going to win this game. They should by easily. They're ranked number 13th. Virginia Tech's unranked. ESPN does have the spread at -8 for South Carolina. So once again, for those who don't understand that, that means that South Carolina is predicted to win this game by at least 8 points. What do you feel about this game? Is this one of the games you're really excited to watch? It is on Sunday, so it's right before the Notre Dame-Miami game, so you won't be missing anything by watching this game.
I mean, Virginia Tech is a rival of Miami. Last year we had kind of a controversial last minute no catch. Kyron Jones, the quarterback for Virginia, surprisingly, is he's the cousin of Cam Ward, and he also has the same quarterback coach that Shador Sanders and Cam Ward has. He's a very, very athletic dual threat quarterback, which they do at Virginia Tech a lot. He's actually really good, very underrated. So good to see him on prime time against Lenore Sellers. I think it's going to be a closer game than people think. Virginia Tech is always really good at special teams, and they always have a really good defense. And when they have a guy like Kyron Jones, going to be a senior now. Again, like he's got a very strong arm. He's a dual threat, big guy. So I expect the game to be a good one. I do expect South Carolina to win just because, like you said, they're SEC. They're a top 25 team. They're supposed to win. I think it's going to be closer than people think. I think that could be a one-score game, which is, I mean, they're predicting the 8 points, right?
Yeah.
I think it'd be a one-score game, but I think it could be maybe like a 6 or like a field goal game. Virginia Tech is always a tough out.
Okay, I like that. A huge game on the schedule here. We got rank 9 LSU versus rank 4 Clemson, and that's on Saturday, 6:30 p.m. ABC. The spread for that game is -4 for Clemson, which means that they predict Clemson's going to win this game by at least 4 points. Either way, they're predicting this game is going to be pretty much a big shootout. I mean, the total point spread is 57.5. So once again, for those who don't know, when I say total point spread, that means combined between both teams, they predict that 57.5 points will be scored. So you can either cut that out to maybe 28 points by each team, or maybe one team kind of getting 30 to 40 points, the other team filling up the other 57. So that's how that kind of works out. LSU, I feel like they have a lot to prove. They got Garrett Nussmeier at quarterback, who's looking really solid. There's a lot of hype that he's predicted to be one of the Heisman favorites going into this season. And then you also have another Heisman favorite going against each other right here against Clemson. You got Clemson's quarterback Cade Klubnik. He's definitely one of the biggest reasons why Clemson's ranked number 4 on top of Clemson's amazing recruiting class. Who do you think is going to come out on top of this game?
So LSU, and then who was the other team? I'm sorry.
Clemson, yeah.
Clemson. Oh, so Clemson, I think Clemson is not like on a down year. They have a lot of guys who are going to go to the NFL, but I just don't think they're like the top. They're highest in the ACC right now, but I think that's just because of Dabo and his pedigree. LSU with Nussmeier, they have a lot of speed over there with the running back and the quarterback position. And this is going to be, is this a neutral site game or is this going to be in LSU?
This game, let's see, because we know when it's in Death Valley, that's that's
Exactly.
pretty rough.
I mean, either team has a huge home field advantage, right? Clemson and LSU,
This
those
will
are two of the
be-
harder teams.
That's true. This game will be in Clemson.
Okay, so I mean that might help Clemson a little bit, but I do think, like you said, Nussmeier, being as touted as he is, potentially number 1 overall pick, number 1 quarterback taken. I think this is going to be a really good game.
Mm-hmm.
I think this is going to be. I'm looking at like a 21-24 type game.
Okay.
I can see LSU pulling it out, only because it is in Clemson. Like we talked about before, these home field events, especially in college, they can get a little crazy.
Yeah.
But with LSU, with Nussmeier being there, with him being a veteran, I think they pull this one out. But I do think it's going to be a close one. Had it been in LSU, I think I would have picked LSU by maybe 17 points. But
Yeah,
the fact that it's in Clemson.
Death Valley's a scary place to play.
Yeah, and like I said, so is Clemson, and you'll see,
Yeah.
right, when you get to see it. I mean, you could hear it. They're one of the best stadiums in college football.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing I love about Dabo is he's probably going to lose 17 starters this year,
Mm-hmm.
and he's not even going to look at that transfer portal. He's just always going. He's an old school style. He
Hard-nosed
recruits.
recruit,
You never
yeah.
see. Yeah, you're never going to see a transfer guy at Clemson.
Yeah.
And so he has the next ones up. So it'll be interesting to see because Clemson obviously, I think since Trevor Lawrence has been there, they haven't really been in that championship pedigree, but they've been like a top 8 to 10 team.
Yeah.
Whereas like with LSU, I think people are expecting them to be in that college football playoff. So I think I give them the 3-point advantage on the road.
Yeah, Dabo Swinney, head coach for the Clemson. I definitely think he's a very coveted heavy coach, especially now that with Saban gone from Alabama. Between him and Kirby Smart, the head coach of Georgia, I mean, those are some of the top 2 coaches we have still in college football. So definitely going to be an interesting game. I'm really excited to see, especially since I've been playing college football 26. I'm really kind of excited to see those LSU corners with Ashton Stamps and DJ Pickett. I'm excited to see how they managed to shut down Clemson's receivers. So that's going to be very interesting for me to watch. Last 2 games here, we have a pretty big one. Even though one of the teams isn't ranked, they're a very notable team. They've got NFL pedigree written all over them from a lot of great players, even prime Deion Sanders himself. We got Alabama, who's ranked number 8, going against Florida State, and this game is going to be in Florida at the Doak Campbell Stadium. And then let's see the spread for this game. It's got Alabama favored, rightfully so, by 13.5. How do we feel about this game? Or who are we excited to watch in this game?
You're always excited to watch Ryan Williams. I mean, he's one of the best players in college football. I think him and Jeremiah Smith, if there was no rule, I don't see why they wouldn't be in the NFL. After one season, they absolutely dominated the league. I'm interested to see who is the starting quarterback at Alabama. I'm not sure if they decided if it was going to be because I know they had three guys kind of in the mix.
Hmm.
So for me, I want to see who their starting quarterback is, how long the leash is, right? Because in college football, it's a little different. If they're not decided on a quarterback, you might see guys switch drives, you might see them switch quarters, switch halves. So just kind of seeing what that looks like. Defensively, I think they're just better and deeper than Florida State. Castellanos been talking a lot, which you like, right? You like when somebody's confident and they want to like show like they believe in their team and their squad and themselves. But I think this one's going to be it's just easy Alabama. I think
Yeah.
it's Alabama by at least 2 scores. Florida State is doing a great job recruiting. And I think in a couple years they'll be back to the Florida State that we're used to. But right now, first game going against an Alabama, probably not the position you want to be in.
No.
So yeah, I expect them to lose by a couple of scores.
Right now, as of right now, Alabama's going to be rolling with quarterback Ty Simpson. They do have Parker Brailsford, kind of as a backup, but yeah, Ty Simpson's right now
Well, and
the
they have
guy.
Austin Mack too, right?
Yeah, they do
So
have Austin Mack too. So right now, Ty Simpson's getting the nod, so it's kind of his job to lose. So I don't think he'll be losing against Florida State, but we've seen wilder things happen. Stranger things have happened, so very interesting. And then obviously my favorite game of the week because of my Texas Longhorns going to be playing Texas versus Ohio State. Unfortunately, we do play in Ohio for this game, but uh, either way, gonna be an exciting game. I get to see my boy Archie Manning going up against I think it's Juliet Sayin, quarterback Sayin for the Ohio State Buckeyes. I want to say I know his last name is Sayin. I can't remember his first name, but so really interested to see that. The spread for that game is 47.5 points, and right now they have Ohio State winning by only a margin of 1.5 points. So they definitely feel like the game's going to be close. They feel like it can go either way, but right now they have Ohio State as the favorite, even though Texas is currently ranked 1 in the college football rankings, and Ohio State's ranked 3. So they're very close in rankings. But I'm really excited to see my boy Arch Manning sling that rock. We got Ryan Wingo, another speedster to replace Isaiah Bond. It seems like we always keep at least one speedster on the roster. You look back, we had Bond last year. We got Wingo this year. The year before that, we had my boy Xavier Worthy, who's now with the Chiefs. So, I mean, we keep a speedster on the squad. We do have some great running backs still. I mean, if you don't know, Texas University is also known as RBU, meaning Running Back University, because of how many great running backs that come out of Texas and end up in the pros. I mean, as of recently, everyone's familiar with the name Bijan Robinson, Atlanta Falcons running back. We've had Noshawn Robinson, who played for the Panthers. We got, speaking of the Panthers, we have my boy Jonathan Brooks, who's been hurt last couple years, unfortunately, but he also comes from Texas. I mean, I could kind of, the list kind of goes on. We've had over the last I'd say the last 3 to 5 years, we've had at least one running back come out of Texas going to the pros. So I'm excited to see him. I'm excited on the defensive side. I'm excited to see the pass rusher, my boy Colin Simmons out there. I'm excited to see linebacker Anthony Hill Jr., who for me in college football 26, the video game, has been nothing but a straight monster. So I can't wait to see this beast in person playing in the game. I mean, I'm really hyped to see my Texas Longhorns this game. And yeah, we are matched up unfortunately against Jeremiah Smith. So yeah, not the greatest matchup, but I think my boy Malik Muhammad, our starting corner, is up for the challenge. He's no slouch, and we got Justin Taff at free safety behind him, so he's got some help. So yeah, I think our front seven is going to be putting the pressure. So I don't believe I'll see too many Jeremiah Smith long shots. Maybe a lot of slants, a lot of in routes, a lot of quick breaking routes. I don't think we'll necessarily give them the time to go deep, but I'm interested to see this game anyway. This is my most hyped game for the year or for the season, I'd say.
uh, yeah, I mean, I think for me it's easy. It's gonna be Texas, and that's saying like it's easy. Like Ohio State didn't just come off a national championship, but when you lose a quarterback, they lost Will Howard. And then they lost Quinshon Judkins, they lost Trevion Henderson. Yeah, you still have Jeremiah Smith, but that's a lot of offensive talent and a lot of also not even just it's just a lot of experience that they lost. So saying not much experience, right? You're going against a Texas team, Texas defense that probably has 3 to 5, defensive players who might even go in the first to top 2 rounds. And then you have Archie Manning, all the speed that they present with Wingo and all the running backs that they have back there. I fully expect Texas to win this game. And again, I'll give them 10-point win. I'm not going to disrespect the national champions, but I do think that Texas wins, and Texas wins kind of heavily.
Yeah, no, like I said, I'm very excited for the game, and I agree with all your points. It's gonna be a great game either way. All right, for our last final question of the pod, it's gonna be a different one. The NFL, if you guys don't know, have introduced a new award. Finally, I know a lot of NFL players, specifically the linemen, have been asking for this award for several years, but there's now a new Protector of the Year award, which essentially is awarded to the best offensive lineman of the year. So it's essentially who has the best protection. My prediction for this year, I'm gonna probably go with Trey Smith for the Chiefs. One, I just believe the Chiefs are always going to be favored to win almost everything. I just think that the league loves the Chiefs, and Trey Smith's just a great interior lineman. So for those who don't know, he plays right guard for the Chiefs. He's an extremely young, really talented, great lineman. I wouldn't say he's the best offensive lineman right now, but I definitely think he's top 3, top 5. But I'd say next to him, the best chances for me would be Lane Johnson, left tackle for the Philadelphia Eagles, and then obviously Trent Williams, the left tackle for the San Francisco 49ers. But that's my prediction, Trey Smith for the Chiefs. Who's your prediction? Who's going to win Protector of the Year?
How do they go based off of that? Is that just like a PFF grade, or like how does that one work?
Now that I'm not 100% sure of because they just announced the award. My guess would be as far as sacks allowed. So I'd say they're probably going to consider how many sacks have been given up, how many pressures come from that position. I think they might also include maybe pancakes. So for those who don't know, that's when essentially the lineman pretty much puts the defensive player on their butt. So I think that's going to be also into consideration. But as far as I know, they don't have like a clear set of rules yet. I'll have to research that into that. But with those factors in mind, who do you think?
Um, I think again sounds like bias or whatever, but I mean he's one of the top offensive linemen in the game. If not the top offensive lineman in the game, and that's going to be Chris Lindstrom, the Atlanta Falcons.
Wow.
The guy doesn't give up anything. He
Left
doesn't
guard
give
or
up
right
sacks.
guard?
He doesn't give up. He's a right guard. He doesn't give up
Okay.
sacks. He doesn't give up pressures. The dude's just been a freaking rock star since he was a rookie. Um, so for me, if I had to just pick one offensive lineman, it would be him. Another one that I really like, obviously Trent Williams every year is going to be up there. And then I think one that's really good, but I just don't know how the quarterback position is going to be. Maybe a little bit better with Russell Wilson is Andrew Thomas at the Giants. I don't think he gets a lot of love. He's another left tackle or offensive tackle for the Giants, one of the better ones that we have in the league. So that would be kind of my three right off the top of my head.
Funny, you take Lindstrom over Quentin Nelson, the left guard for the Indianapolis Colts. Do you really feel like Quentin Nelson is under Lindstrom, or is that just the bias speaking there?
No, he's definitely under. I mean, Lindstrom's missed a lot of
Wow.
games. I mean, Lindstrom hasn't missed a lot of games, and like I said, you just go look at it. I mean, the dude run blocking, pass blocking doesn't matter what he's doing. He's literally been he's just been a beast. And I think this year with the Falcons, I mean, as you already look at it, everybody's expecting us to be a top 8 to 10 offense with the way that Penix could throw the ball, the way that Bijan is gonna just unleash this year. So yeah, we're gonna have an opportunity for him to be in a lot of positions to make plays and obviously not give up any pressures or sacks.
Okay. Okay. Very interesting. Yeah, I definitely think. And one other guy we didn't name, who's also PFF's one of the. He was the first among all players in 2024, according to PFF, as far as his grade. He got a 95.1 PFF grade last season. And they also say he's the second best by any offensive lineman in the PFF era. The number 11 player and number 1 offensive tackle on the PFF 50. Can we guess who that one is?
Number one player, number one offensive tackle.
Number 11 player and number 1 offensive tackle on the PFF 50 for last year.
Yeah, I wouldn't have an idea. If it's not one of the two I've already mentioned, I wouldn't know.
That's left tackle Jordan Mailata for the Philadelphia Eagles. That man has been a straight beast. I know Lane Johnson has been taking up a lot of the spotlight, but they got another young beast in Jordan Mailata at left tackle, opposite of Lane Johnson, who's at right tackle. So,
Well, I like Darisaw from the Vikings, and I also like Wirfs, but I know Wirfs is injured, so I really would have picked Wirfs. Tristan
Mm-hmm.
Wirfs, even though he plays for Tampa Bay, he's amazing. And Christian Darisaw from the Minnesota Vikings. Those are two really, really young, talented offensive tackles. Don't be surprised if they're in there for the award.
Okay. Well, that wraps it up for episode 3, guys. We appreciate you guys tuning in. Once again, the episode will be uploaded to YouTube, so check that out. It's youtube.tv. I'm sorry, youtube.tv.com/Humble Gaming Nation, or you just type in Humble Gaming Nation in the search bar. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Once again, if you guys have any comments, questions, concerns, criticism, let us know in the comments of the video, or send me a message on Twitter. We're always open to hearing you guys' feedback. That's what helps us get better and helps us grow. And also, we're going to be, over the next few weeks, especially as we get into the NFL season, we're going to be looking for a special guest to kind of tune in with us and give us some of their thoughts. We'll probably be, at least for the NFL season, might be looking for a fan of a specific team that's maybe the highlight of that game. So if you guys want to be on the show, you guys want to give your input, let me know in the comments or send me a message on Twitter. We'll be happy to have you guys. But yeah, that's it for this week's episode. We'll check you guys next week, Monday, same time, same place. Signing out.